How diddly do everyone in YouTube land? It's your boy Teagle the Beagle back once again with another Magic the Gathering deck tech. Haven't done one of these in a while, and to be honest, last time I did one was Fang the Fangbearer. Never again. After taking a while experimenting with other types of video formats, I decided that I like card games the best, so I'm sticking with you fuckers, especially considering the fact that on my YouTube poll, the card game shit was the only thing you people wanted, so clearly it's what you want to. Which also, thank you, being able to do what I want on YouTube while also having an audience that wants it. It's amazing. Now, without further ado, let's get on to the commander I chose to make this deck around. And today, we have Arcanis the Omnipotent. I should also probably mention that usually I do Historic Brawl because I mostly play on MTG Arena. Well, I used to. I don't anymore. This is just actual Commander because I find it much more fun than Brawl in every way, shape, or form. So let's get on with it, shall we? With that disclaimer out of the way. Arcanis the Omnipotent is a 3 generic, 1/2/3 blue for a 3/4, which doesn't seem very good. You know, blue isn't the best of ramp. It does have some ramp cards, and actually a surprising amount of ways to get to 6 mana, like really easily. Do you know the amount of colorless ramp we have nowadays? It's like every color can be green at this point. Do not at me on that, please. Now, of course, for this commander to be high cost in blue, it must have... What? Now, of course, since this commander is really high cost and in blue, it has to have a very strong effect, especially considering those stats are not much to look at, buddy. Do you think the magical tentacles are compensating for something? Now, of course, he has 2 different abilities. One, obviously more important than the other, but the first one, he could pay 2 and 2 blue, return it to its owner's hand, which isn't bad. It allows you to dodge removal. Basically makes it so that if a black player says, hey, I target and get rid of that, well, no you don't because I paid 4 blue, so it's in my hand now. I think that's really cool. The second ability is more important though, draw 3 cards. Now you may say, oh, how much mana do you have to use for this? Just tap it. Tap to draw 3 cards. So on first glance, okay, it's like decent consistency, but it's 6 mana, it's not worth it. On second glance, that's what it reads. You just have to put your whole deck in your hand. And why? Because, unfortunately, I'm pretty sure this is what they meant when they designed the card, but, blue just has a few too many cards that say untap target permanent. Like, it's fucking ridiculous how many creatures just literally are the same thing, but with different stat lines and different costs that say tap this to untap target permanent. What? No! So basically, yeah, we're playing a deck that's all about drawing every single thing in your deck and putting it into your hand. And I gotta say, this is actually refreshing. The thing with a lot of blue commanders that revolve around drawing, they're usually some stuff like, when you draw your 2nd card each turn, do something. When you draw your 5th card each turn, do something, and that's it. That's all they can do, which is cool, but it's pretty limited and makes it so they can't do much. This not only activates every single one of those commanders, so you can put them in this deck technically, but also makes it so that any deck that cares about drawing, this is the enabler. When commanders are the payoff, they're cool and all, however, your entire deck kind of revolves around them, so if your commander's off the board, it's fucked. However, when your commander's an enabler, and you've got other enablers in your deck, it allows all the payoffs in your deck to flourish even if your commander's not on board. And let me tell you, we only need our commander on board for a couple turns before he can go away, and we don't give a good goddamn, because our opponents will already be dead. Now, without further ado, let's get into the actual deck list. The deck itself is separated into a couple different categories, and we'll go over... The deck itself is separated into different categories. Fuck. The deck itself is separated into different categories. We'll go over them in terms of, like, their importance. So starting off, we of course have the commander, which we already went over. Next is consistency. You're only going to see this at the start of the game, and this is just to get all your pieces early, which we'll go over in a sec what those 3 pieces are. They are hand unlimiters, payoffs, and untappers. That's the combo we're going for. I'll explain it for the people who don't get it yet, just a second. Consistency is basically just drawing. There's a card that's like, you know, search your library for an instant sorcery, reveal it, put it in your hand, which is also going to be a consistency piece so you can get to more shit, or possibly one of these other things. Treasure Cat Crew, similar to this. The one card that's different than all these is Teferi's Angel's Insight, which if you would draw a card, except the first one you draw on each of your draw step, draw 2 cards instead. Now, I was confused on how this card works at first. It's like, well, what if you draw multiple cards at the same time? It will trigger for each of those cards. So if we draw 3, we instead draw that amount times 2. So we draw 6 on every Arcanis trigger now, which is technically not a payoff because it doesn't really do anything. It just allows us to enable our payoffs even more. I should also mention that there are some cards in here which are only in here because I am actually attempting to play and buy this deck in real life. So therefore I didn't put any like $30 or above cards in here. The most expensive cards are $16 and there's only 2 of them. I'm not putting anything in this deck that is above 16, to be clear. And I tried to keep it as close to 200 as possible with, hey, 20605, it's fine. We then have offensive stuff as well as protection, which are just necessary. The protection is mainly just there to make sure he doesn't get removed the first turn he comes down, because he does have to wait a turn to tap and start drawing and shit like that. So of course we have stuff like Cerulean Waves, Mizmin Skin, Shore Up, which give him hexproof till end of turn. Can I speak to this? Swiftfoot Boots gives him hexproof and haste, so technically, if we time it right, this could just come on him and he starts tapping as soon as he comes down. And he has protection, which is amazing. Also, you see a Garderbrodes can tap something, because, you know, that could come up sometime. Yeah, it's always going to be target creature control gains hexproof till end of turn. It's fine. The offensive stuff is mainly just like counter spells, as well as, what's it called? Just like messing with our opponent stuff like exile target creature, destroy target creature, destroy target creature. We love doing that. Counter, this is return all non-land permanents to their owner's hands, which normally costs 5. But if it's the first card you draw for turn, you could pay the miracle cost to deal with it. Here's the thing, a lot of people will say, oh, well, you're going to be drawing a bunch with Arcanis, so it doesn't really matter. If we are already on our way drawing a million cards with Arcanis, we most likely don't need to bounce much. At the end of the day, if we're at Arcanis, we have enough mana for Devastation Tide, because he costs more than it. So I think we'll be fine on that in front. There's also Archmage Charm, which technically is a consistency piece, because it allows you to draw 2 cards. But also, it does allow you to counter target spell, which is what you use it for 90% of the time. Also, it's just like kind of a decently cheap counter spell, so fuck it, put it in. It's module. We love that. Or modal, fucking stupid ass name. Now, before we get into the main combo pieces, we have to talk about ramp. Because he does cost 6 mana, you're gonna need a ramp. So, like, Decanter of Endless Water, which also messes with our hand size, which is great. Arcane Sig, Gilded Lotus is a bit much, I feel, but there are a lot more cards in this deck that cost a lot, so it's not unwelcome. High Tide, which makes it so that you, until the end of the turn, double any mana that an island gives you, which is amazing. Mind Stone, of course, Sapphire Medallion to decrease blue spells, which doesn't stop all of our stuff from being discounted, but it does discount enough to where I'm happy. Sky Diamond, of course, Soul Ring, necessary, Solemn Simulacrum. It just gets us that extra land in play, which can be really good. Also, it's just a really good card in general. Definitely get it when you can. And Thran Dynamo, because it gives us the 3 colors to cast him, which is very nice. Now, for the 3 different types of payoffs. Starting off with hand unlimiters. These are, in my opinion, the most important. Because we're going to be drawing so much, we kind of want to never, and I mean never, have to discard. And some of these are even also consistency pieces, like Prof's Eidetic Memory. Not only allows you to draw a card, but also allows you to buff creatures. There's Spellbook, which is just a 0 cost, you have no maximum hand size, which is great. Thought Vessel does the same thing while also being ramped. Triskaidekaphile is an ult fucking win condition while giving you no maximum hand size. Venser's Journal makes it so that at the beginning of your upkeep, you gain a life for each card in your hand, possibly making you immortal, because you're gaining of upwards of 22 life a turn, which is amazing. And Wizard Class eventually makes it so that every single card you draw puts a +1/+1 counter on target creature. It's just really good. Also, I'm sure I've already put it on screen, but just to make sure, this deck list is down in the description, which is why I'm not going over it in detail, because I do want to show you some playtests as well. The next piece we have is untapping. We want to be untapping this guy multiple times a turn, so that we can draw like upwards of fucking 7 cards. Upwards of like 12 cards or so. Aphetto, Alchemist is one, Clever Conjurer is one, Dramatic Reversal can do that, Fate Stitcher can do that, there's Forensic Researcher, there's also, Kelpie Guide, Laurent the Healing House, are all creatures that untap your guy. But there's also stuff like String the Glinting Dagger, which allows you to untap it at the beginning of combat. 1,000-Year Elixir, which not only allows you to pay 1 to tap it and untap target creature, but also they gain haste for their tap abilities, every single one. So all your creatures are, online with, immediately can tap to untap another target thing. We also have stuff like I can't pronounce that. Penis's Aura, which makes it so that you can pay blue to untap enchanted creature. Yes, please. Same thing with, if I can find it, same thing as Feed from the Reel, except Feed from the Reel is substantially worse, because while it does cost 1 less blue mana, we don't care about that because we're a monocolor deck, as well as we could also pay blue to make enchanted creature untargetable this turn. Yeah, that's a little better! The best card here, though, would have to be Chakram Retriever, which I'm surprised not as many people are playing, because whenever you cast a spell during your turn, untap target creature. Yeah, that seems pretty good in, every deck ever that relies on tapping its creatures and is in blue. Oh, it costs a lot of mana! So what, numbnuts? You can untap your creatures upwards of 5 times a turn with this bastard. He may be made of water, but I certainly want to pet the bastard, because he is part of one of the reasons that this deck may turn out to be overpowered one day. Right now, I want to say it's, high tier. I think it's above a 7, whatever the hell a 7 even is, but it's certainly not, super high tier. And now for the final, which is the payoffs, which is all stuff that revolves around all the cards we're going to be drawing and how we're going to win the game. There's stuff like Alandra Sky Dreamer, which you draw your second card each turn, create a 2/2 blue Drake creature token with flying. Cool, that's alright. When you draw your fifth card, Alandra Sky Dreamer and Drake control get +X/+X, where X is the number of cards in your hand until end of turn. Yeah, that seems pretty good on a flyer. There's also Chasm Skulker, There's also Chasm Skulker, which gets +1/+1 whenever you draw a card. Yeah, it's pretty good. Also, when it dies, it turns into 1/1 blue squid creature tokens with Island Walk, where X is the number of 1/1 counters on it. Which, by the way, Island Walk means if you attack into opponent with any blue lands, they will just automatically be unable to block it. So, the blue players lose to this. Of course, you have cards like Jace, Wielder of Mysteries, and Laboratory Maniac, which have a little text on them stating that if you draw a card while your library has no cards, you win the game instead. And let me tell you, this is our least common win con, but if all the other win cons get, gotten away or removed somehow, well, you need a way to win, and this is one of those ways. Just wait till your library's almost out of cards, cast one of these guys, draw a couple more, win the game on the spot there. Real simple. We also have Ominous Sea, which whenever you draw a card, you put a foreshadow counter on it, and you can remove 8 foreshadow counters to create an 8/8 blue Kraken. This is one of our slower payoffs, but you can cast it really early to start getting it going really early, so it's honestly not bad at all. It's cool and usually pairs up with one of our other payoffs to win the game. Especially Wizard class. It gets utterly fucking ridiculous with Wizard class. God, I fucking hate my life. On the same line as Chasm Dweller, we have okay, I'm just trying to pronounce that wrong. Oneirophage. Whenever you draw a card, you put a +1/+1 counter on it, but it's flying this time, so it's actually evasive and pretty good. There's also Psychosis Crawler, which does cost 5, but its power and toughness are equal to the amount of cards in our hand, and as well as whenever we draw a card, each opponent loses 1 life. Therefore making it so that every Arcanis trigger is them losing 3 life. But if we have a certain card out known as I can never pronounce anything! Why? Teferi's Ageless Insight, that means they lose 6 life every Arcanis trigger, us having upwards of 3 to 4 Arcanis triggers every turn, meaning they're losing upwards of 5 billion life a turn. I'm not calculating that. You think I passed 4th grade math? No. Now, our final type of payoff can be found in Jin-Gitaxies and Omniscience. Both of them have ways to make you cast spells from your hand without paying their mana cost. Omniscience costs 7 and 3 blue, so it costs 10, but afterwards you get to cast your entire deck for free. With Jin-Gitaxias though, it's a little different. It costs 9 mana instead. 5 to play him, and then 4 to flip him once you assemble 10 cards in hand, because that'll be difficult when the average amount of cards in your hand in this deck is around 20 so. He will flip it to the Great Transcendence, which immediately makes it so you have no maximum hand size for as long as it's around, and doubles the amount of cards in your hand instantly. You just draw cards equal to the amount already in your hand, which is fucking ridiculous. On the second one, it bounces all non-Phyrexian creatures to their owner's hands, which is eh. However, honestly, the fact that the only creatures we'll have out is Untappers and Arcanis, it's the sacrifice I'm willing to take. Also on the third turn, during your upkeep only, cast anything you want from your hand for free, and everyone else can go fuck themselves. He immediately comes back as Jin-Gitaxias, which will most likely be able to flip pretty quickly back into the Great Synthesis. God, this fucking deck is stupid. Granted, Jin-Gitaxias is one of our least favorite ways to win the game. He's a bit finicky, and sometimes he actually fucks us over with that second part of the Great Synthesis, but it's not anything we really care that much about, because most of our other payoffs will be drawn before Jin-Gitaxias usually, so it's not a huge problem. And if we really need to win with him, so what, we'll probably win anyway, unless somehow our opponents reassemble a board full of hasters that hit us in the face before we can do it, but it's fine. I'm now just going to go ahead and run a couple play tests with this deck. If you don't want to, and you just want, oh, I just want the deck list, like I said, down in the description below, you can go ahead and take a look at it. If at any time I do make changes to this deck, I will post any interesting findings on my community tab. So if you don't see anything on there, take it as is, but if you do, immediately go ahead and check it out. See if you want to change up the deck like that. If not, though, that's perfectly fine. I encourage you to experiment, see what you like and what you don't like, and change up my deck. That's how I make most of my commander decks. I take a look at either the average deck for something, or I take a look at a creator's deck for something, and I immediately go, well, here, I'm going to look at this. I like this half, but this half I really don't like. So I strip it down and then rebuild it to be more perfected towards my style of play. I like that, and I know a lot of other people do. But without further ado, for the people who want to see it, let's get into the playtest, shall we? Immediately, I don't think we're going to keep this hand, right? We have 2 lands, but nothing really that can work with them. Our quickest consistency piece is 3, so we're going to immediately mulligan this. Now, this is interesting. It does give us only 1 island, but it also gives us Ponder, and how the fuck do you pronounce this thing? Preordain. I think it's Preordain. It gives us Preordain and Myriad Landscape, which is pretty good, because at the end of the day, it can tap for colorless if we need to, so I think we're going to keep this. Starting off, we draw for turn. Payoff, not bad. We'll play an island, and then we'll immediately ponder. So now we tap this, peek at the top 3 cards, and we decide how to rearrange them. I would like the island to go here. We'll get some ramp, and we'll take the payoff. So now, we will choose not to shuffle our deck, and then draw a card. Put that in the grave, and then we wait till next turn, untap, upkeep, draw, play the island, and then, after we do that, we'll go ahead and preordain. Pay 1, peek the top 2 cards, and decide if we want to put any of these on the bottom of the library, or leave them. I would like to leave these, actually. Preordain will then allow us to draw a card. Pretty nice. Next turn comes up, we untap, upkeep, draw, play another island that we just drew, and at 3, we can play Decanter of Endless Water, which does tap for mana of any color, and makes it so we have no maximum hand size. So we have 1 of our combo pieces on board. We just need something that allows us to untap, as well as some sort of payoff, which we do have 2 payoffs, but no untap ability. But that's fine, we'll be able to find it with Arcanis when it comes to him. Next turn comes up, untap, upkeep, draw. We'll play Myriad Landscape, which does come in tapped, unfortunately. And as far as what to do here, well, we're probably just going to play Clever Conjurer. So, we'll tap 1, 2, 3, play him, so that when Arcanis starts tapping, we can start untapping him and draw even more. So now we do have all the combo pieces we need. We just have to get there, which at this point we don't look like a threat, so the other players at the table will probably be getting hit and we'll be fine. Now, untap, upkeep, draw for next turn. Not many choices here, right? As far as what we can do here, the first thing we're doing is tapping Myriad Landscape, paying 1, paying 2, and going ahead and finding 2 lands, which I believe, if I'm correct, come into the battlefield tapped. Yes, okay. So let's go ahead, search library, 2 islands, play tapped, play as tapped, and then we'll go ahead and group these all together because it's way easier that way. Always make sure your cards are grouped, kids. And now we really can't play anything else. We certainly don't have enough to where we can banish to our treasure cruise. God, speak human languages, you fucking idiot. To where treasure cruise could actually be useful, so we'll probably just pass here again. Untap, upkeep, draw for next turn. We're now at 5, 6, so we could cast our commander. But I think I would like a little bit of setup first. No, of course I don't. Of course we're casting the commander. Are you fucking crazy? This guy takes so much goddamn mana to get on board. Fuck yeah. And now we have Mr. Arcanis the Omnipotent. Now, unfortunately, he can't tap yet because he doesn't have haste. However, I'm happy where we are. We have 7 cards in hand, meaning we won't discard the hand size, even though we don't have a hand size already, so that doesn't work. And I'm happy to where we are. No player should be targeted yet because we're not a threat yet. And next turn, untap, upkeep, draw. Immediately play the island we got. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Alright. First thing we're doing, peg 3, play Chasm Stalker. That's our first payoff. That is going to allow us to constantly make him bigger. And now, we get to the fun part. Starting off, we're going to tap Arcanis, draw 1, 2, 3. I'm just going to immediately put 3 +1/+1 counters on this guy. Putting him already at a 4/4. How? Oh my god, High Tide. That's fucking amazing. We'll play High Tide by tapping Decanter of the Walter. I believe that's what it's called. Of the Walter. Walter! That'll go away. But now, all of our islands tap for 2. So that means this right here, Memory, immediately comes in by paying 1 island for it. It draws a card. And also, if we're just going to go ahead and read this, beginning of combat, if you've drawn more than 1 card, put X +1/+1 counters on a creature you control where X is the number of cards you draw this turn -1. So it just buffs 1 guy, which is fine enough. Now, we also drew 0 of the Tumbling Sands? Yeah, of the Tumbling Sands. So we could pay 1, that pays for 2 of it. We'll have to do 1 more island, which does leave 1 floating, thankfully. So that's going to be untapper for next turn. We'll then go ahead and tap Clever Conjurer to untap Arcanis. Immediately tap to draw 1, 2, 3. Not many cards in our hand quite yet, but we're getting there. Setting up our board and all that. Next turn, untap, upkeep, draw. Ooh, love to see it. Another island so we can play even more. We're immediately going to play Chakram Retriever. This thing is absolutely insane. Let me just group these lands together real quick. Group horizontally. We'll then go ahead and pay 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have 3 left. And as far as what we're using that on, well, we may probably keep it up for counter spells, honestly, because at this point they're not going to like us very much. We're also going to put a singular counter on Chasm Stalker that I forgot to do. And we're going to have to do that a couple more times. 1, 2, 3. Chasm Stalker gets 1, 2, 3. We'll then untap him, do it again. 1, 2, 3. You get 1, 2, 3. We can then untap him, do it again. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Fucking lord. Alright, we do have 3 mana left. So, I could either set up an untapper, or yeah, that's pretty much all we can do at this point. We'll go ahead and set up a third untapper, which only costs 2 mana. Untap target artifact or creature. Also, since we played a spell, Arcanis does get untapped. Pretend like I tapped him earlier. So then, we're gonna go ahead and tap him fucking again to draw 1, 2, 3. We then vote 1, 2, 3. Yeah, no, we cannot untap him again, unfortunately. We do have one more mana, but I think we leave this mana to either use stuff like this to protect Arcanis, or to just, you know, say fuck you to your spell, dipshit, or fuck you to your creature, dipshit, I should say. Real quick, always make sure to order your hand by mana value if possible, ladies and gentlemen. Jesus Christ, we drew a lot of lands. But yeah, next turn we definitely have a lot of payoffs we need to go through. And now, ladies and gentlemen, untap, upkeep, draw for next turn. We immediately give this guy another +1/+1 counter. Throw on another island. Now we have a couple options. Body of Knowledge or Alandra Skytriever. Alandra Skytriever, in my opinion. Body of Knowledge is good, but you more want to play him when you're at like the 20s and shit. We now pay 1, 2, 3, and then 4 for Alandra, and now we start cooking. We of course will immediately tap you for 1, 2, 3. Also, if I was smart, I wouldn't have ordered it like I did, because I could have made it so Chakram untaps him by casting Alandra. I'm kind of dumb. It's okay. Alandra summons the token, so now we can add token. It is going to be the Drake. Put the Drake on board. Now, unfortunately, I'm not going to count the... Oh, wait, hold on. Next up, we cast a Spellbook for 0, which does trigger Chakram Retriever, causing him to untap. Tap him again, 1, 2, 3, which then we can tap him to untap him, 1, 2, 3. We can then tap him to untap it. Pretend I tapped him earlier to draw the 3. God damn it, I keep forgetting to do that. 1, 2, 3. We'll then untap him, do untap him, and then tap it again. 1, 2, 3. There we go. Fucking hell. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 mana left. What do we do for 5 mana, ladies and gentlemen? We continue being a fucking meta. Oh my god, I've kept forgetting to put it. Fuck it. Okay, let's just pretend I'm putting the +1/+1 counter. You get the idea. I'm gonna stop this playtest here. You get the idea. He's a late game, heavy draw commander that, by the way, we've already drawn in Jin-Gitaxias. We got the +1/+1 counters. This guy's gonna have a fucking insane amount of +X/+X. We have insane amounts of ramp. We have board clears. We have big guys. We have searches. Basically, once again, this deck is not competitive, I want to be clear, because as soon as a competitive player sees you're playing Arcanis, they're gonna probably stop you at all costs, because you can get ahead of the table really quickly. However, in more, like, it's above a 7, to be clear. It's not like casual, because in casual, this is fucking too broken. It is insanely strong. Like, I have seen entire people complain about this. I don't remember what video that was, but there was a video I heard someone complaining about Arcanis being too fucking strong. So, it's not casual, but it's not competitive. It's like right in between them. In Yu-Gi-Oh, we call it Tier 2, where you're not Tier 1 fucking amazing, but you're not Tier 3 bad casual or rogue. You're just kind of right in the middle there, you know what I'm saying? A lot of people may ask, why would you put so many lands if you're going to keep drawing them? Believe me, the ramp in this deck is not sufficient enough. You need to play a lot of lands to make sure you can get this fucker out. Not to mention all the other expensive ass shit we have in here. So, yeah, kind of very, very important to have a lot of lands in this deck. Though if you believe that there could be less lands, go ahead and tell me how you edited the deck to make it better. Maybe you play Arcanis and you see, oh, well, I did this, and I think it was much better. And tell me down in the comments. I legitimately want to know how to improve this deck. How other people could maybe play Arcanis in a way that's more fun for them. I know I'm a card-hoarding goblin, so this is the way that's fun to me. But maybe you prefer playing Arcanis more as kind of a commander that's pretty much just an in a 99 card. Which those are the types of commanders where they're just there to help your deck. Your deck is the commander. The commander is just there to look pretty. It doesn't do that much except sometimes come out to help. It's really not that important. In my deck, it's very important for the types of combos I'm doing, but you know what? I could perfectly see in a deck where Arcanis is just kind of a side piece. Your side bitch, if you will. However, I would highly suggest checking out Arcanis yourself. He's been great fun to build, great fun to play with, and also, Arcanis is probably going to be great fun in any blue deck you play that has high cost cards, because he's not bad. Even if you can't constantly untap him, tapping to draw 3 cards is pretty fucking good. Is that an ad showing up in my fucking outro? Really? An ad in my outro? Get out of here, Amazon, not you too. All jokes aside, thank you guys so much for watching, and if you did enjoy this, go ahead and subscribe. I'm going to be putting out a lot more card game content, a lot of MTG, a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh!, a lot of Hearthstone, and I'm going to try and make more content that I like to make as opposed to what I think other people will like to make. And I encourage you to do the same in your decks. Make a deck that you like, not other people like. Always important to remember that. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see y'all next time. Goodbye.
I don't get what I want, I get what I need. Every single day I'm heading off to my dream, and I get everything that I damn well please. I don't give a damn if you all listening to me, cause I run it. I'm the only one that really want it. I'm the only one that's really on it. I'm just being honest. I'm just doing everything I promise, cause I want it bad enough that I'ma make it as an artist, and I